So now we get to what I think is so important, because what do you do with your voice? There are things that we can all do to speak better. But let's talk about the voice. And the first thing I think about is the pronunciation. Now, it could be that you just can't say a sound. Maybe you have difficulty with R's or L's or TH's or whatever. Or it could be that you're speaking English as a second language and those sounds are challenging for you. You want to make sure, though, that you're doing your best if you're preparing for your reading to identify, you can't change the words, but to identify them, so maybe you slow down to say that correctly, or you practice that word so it flows better. Maybe it's a word that's just more difficult to pronounce. Be familiar with it so you're not stumbling over it. So with pronunciation, and some of this is actually in your handout, so you'll have that, you do want to pronounce your words clearly. So you want to pronounce your words clearly. Ideally, and again, different parts of the country have different dialects as well. So I'm not from West Virginia. People in West Virginia speak differently from people in Baltimore, or people in Texas, or people in New York, or even in Boston. So we have our variations. But ideally, put the word endings on your words and try to say the words completely. So when you have words like coming, it's coming, not coming. It's want to, not wanna. It's going to, not gonna. Now, that may not happen when you're doing your readings, but think about that. If you want your speech to be more formal or professional, you put the endings. If you're trying to be really casual, or you're talking to children, or you're outside of church and talking in a very casual way, we can change our hats and speak differently. So there's nothing wrong with that, but that may not be the speech we want to use when we're up here on the AMBO and reading. So keep that in mind. The other thing to think about is the endings of words. When we have two consonants at the end of the word, they're there to be pronounced. So we have a word like project. It's not just a project. It's a project. When we have a word like list, it's not necessarily lists. And tasks actually have three consonants at the end. So just to be more aware, to have more polished speech when you're getting up and speaking to a large group of people. Along those lines, and I love this because especially in the state of Maryland, I know, many people don't do this, but in the middle of words, we sometimes have clusters of sounds. So it's really success, not success. It's really recognize, not recognize. But in a casual way of speaking, and in different parts of the country, we tend to drop some of the sounds. And again, when you're up there reading, you might want to speak in a more polished manner when it comes to pronunciation.